right, so what if I told you that you could be incredibly consistent, not only with your irons, but with your driver too, if we got rid of this idea that our weight shift is only this way, which causes a hip sway and some other problems, reverse pivot, our spine angle to be moving around, and the weight shift is also going that way. I'm gonna describe exactly what I mean in this video, plus 2 more great tips to get that backswing looking really good and to get you hitting the ball really crisp and clean. Let's go and get started. All right, so let's jump right into it. Let's talk about that weight shift. Now, everybody's heard that they need to shift their weight to the right. And a lot of times when you're thinking about target, you imagine everything as just being straight back and straight through. So my weight goes this way, and then my weight goes that way, straight line both ways. Well, there is a bit of a weight shift to the right. I should feel some pressure going to the inside of my right foot very early. But a big key for this is making sure that this right hip actually goes this way in the backswing. I want my right hip to be going back that way, and I don't want it to just slide laterally. So when it slides laterally, and I feel like I'm just going to the right, then my hips go this way, that right hip bumps out. What that does is that tilts my spine angle here, and then as I shift back in the downswing, I end up having to tilt my spine angle the other way. My spine starts moving around a lot, my head starts moving around a lot, and my contact point on the ground starts moving around a lot forwards and backwards. So here's the key to this. As you're getting that weight shift to the right, which is good, I also want you to feel like your hip is going this way. Now you do that by pushing kind of out with your foot. This is something that's been really cool that they found through lots of testing with ground reaction forces, where you get these force plates and you stand on them. What they found all the great players are doing in the backswing is they're actually pushing with this right foot this direction. So imagine if I'm on a clock here and 12 o'clock is right in front of me. In my backswing, I'm pushing with my right foot kind of toward 130. So as I get some pressure into it, my right hip is going that way, so I can turn my hips. I can now turn my shoulders, and I can get loaded up with a lot of power. So that's the first tip. As you shift to the right, the hip goes this way, it doesn't go that way. So let's go ahead and try that out again. You'll notice how my spine doesn't move around a lot as that's happening, and my head's gonna stay nice and stable. There we go. It feels very easy to make consistent contact. That's a nice shot right in the middle of the green. So the second piece there we've touched on a little bit, which is my spine angle. Whenever this hip slides, the bottom of my spine moves. Now, being a good athlete that you are, you start to realize, well, if I slide this way, I can't take my head over there with it. I'd fall down or I'd be moving way too much. So you keep your head pretty steady, and you end up in a move something like this, or a little bit of a reverse pivot. Even if it's not a reverse pivot, it's kind of sliding that way to where now your spine angle's angled this way. Then in the downswing, again, being a good athlete, you realize, well, that's not gonna work. I can't just chop down on it. So you start to reverse that angle, and it goes this way. Well, again, like I said, when your spine starts moving around like that, that gets very inconsistent. What I wanna do is I wanna keep my spine angle fairly consistent at the bottom. As I shift to the right, I don't want it going this way. I want to just rotate, this hip goes back, and my spine stays very, very consistent. As I make my downswing, I get a little bump to the left, my hips start to open up, and then at contact, I'm angled back slightly. So I'm really keeping that same, or roughly the same spine angle, and just rotating around it in the golf swing, and that's what I call the stable fluid spine. Here's how to get that. We've already got the hip action going good. Now I want you to set up a little bit of tilt. Your nose is going to be behind the golf ball. And it doesn't matter if I'm at address, at the top of the swing, or back at impact, my nose doesn't really move a lot in the swing. It's staying behind the golf ball. So if you can keep your nose behind the ball as you do this, you're going to be really nice and consistent. So again, watch my nose as I swing. You're not going to see a ton of movement on this. There we go. I was able to come down, hit that ball nice and clean. Now the third piece is making sure that I don't pick this up with my hands and arms. What happens is, like I said before, I want this hip going back, I want my shoulders rotating, I want everything loading up so that I can make a good, powerful swing. Well, if I just pick this club up with only my hands and arms, it's gonna look something like this. I'm really throwing my hands and arms at it. I felt like I put out a lot of effort with my hands and arms. My body did nothing, and that ball basically went nowhere. So here's the last key. I don't want to pick this club up with just hands and arms. I want to get the hips moving, and I want to get the shoulders moving. Here's a great way to feel that. Let your arms swing and feel like your hips are starting the momentum. Again, they're not doing this. They're rotating in place and then rotating through. So I'm going to feel like my hips are moving, and that's swinging my arms. From there, I want to feel like my shoulders are moving, and then that's swinging my arms. So I'm creating a little bit of momentum. The shoulders are kind of leading the way, and that's throwing my arms back. They're leading the way in the downswing, that's throwing my arms through. So I'm letting the momentum of my body let the arms swing. I'm not trying to take my arms and make them swing my body. Wouldn't work very well, wouldn't be very powerful. So do some swings where you focus on the hips. They're starting the movement, then the arms go back, the hips start down, and then the arms come through. Then think about the shoulders. They move, the arms move, shoulders open up, the arms come through. And then lastly, think about that club head. I want it to be the last link in the chain. My hips, my shoulders, my arms, then my club comes back, and then my hips, my shoulders, my arms, club still lagging behind, then it comes on through. It's that whip-like action that allows us to have a lot of speed without feeling jerky and just throwing our arms at it. So here I'm going to focus in on my body starting the action and carrying the momentum of the club all the way through contact. There we go, right in the middle of the green. Focus on those 3 keys and you're going to have a lot of success. Now, the next thing to take it from here, to really ingrain this, we've talked about this stable fluid spine movement, how I want to get tilted here and I want to build that into my swing. Now, we got started on it in this video, but I'll be honest with you. If you just do this one video, it's going to feel good, but you're probably going to forget it in a week or 2 weeks whenever you move on to the next tip or your buddy has an idea for you. It gets lost in the shuffle. But it's a really important concept to get down. If you can get that one concept down, your ground contact is going to become much more consistent. You're going to be able to hit the ball first on a regular basis and feel like it's just easy to do that. So I'm going to play a preview of one of my best stable fluid spine videos. Once you get this down, those divots are going to be nice and clean and you're going to be hitting that ball first time after time after time. So to see that video, all you need to do is go ahead and click the card that pops up on your screen. Or if you don't see the card, don't worry about that. Just go down to the description below this video and click the link there. You'll get instant access to it. I'll walk you through my stable fluid spine. We'll start ingraining that for a lifetime. And man, golf is going to get a lot easier. I'll see you there. How would you like to be athletic, just like a top college quarterback? You're going to be really athletic, strong as you're throwing the ball. You know, get a good weight shift to the right and then back to the left. Well, it's actually very similar to what we have in a golf swing. As we're throwing a football, we're first going to load up on our right side, then we're going to shift to the left and let that ball launch. So a very similar thing happens in the golf swing, and that's what I'm going to go over in this drill. I'm going to talk about how one key piece can help you to tie in your weight shift to the right, back to the left, and a good full finish. That way you can make very consistent contact with the ball. I'm going to give you a great drill to do this, and I'm going to go over a couple common mistakes at the end of the video that you could be doing that will also be helpful. Starting out just to the right of the stick, it's going to shift 2, maybe 3 inches at the most as I'm going to the top of the swing. So as I go to the top, there now I'm 2 or 3 inches behind the ball, or behind the center stick here, and that's ensured that I've gotten a little bit of weight transfer to my right. I don't want to go, 7 or 8, 10 inches. That's overdoing it. That's going to start sliding in the swing. But if I do this correctly, I should be able to feel a little weight on the inside of my right foot, and now I'm really loaded up and ready to transfer back over to the left. It's much easier to transfer to the left if we get a small transfer to the right first. That's going to make it rhythmic and fluid and able to repeat it over and over again. So let's go ahead and go from the top down now. As I go to the right, now I'm about 2-3 inches to the right as I go to the top of the swing. As I start to transfer back down to contact,